A stately brick building in Tahlequah is called the most photographed symbol of the Cherokee Nation. Known as the Cherokee National Capitol, it houses the tribe's Supreme Court. Built shortly after the Civil War, the building has survived fires, water damage, even changes in ownership and purpose. Now it's being refurbished to return to the way it looked when the doors first opened.
For nearly 150 years, the Cherokee National Capitol has stood at the center of Tahlequah's town square. The building, which is a registered national landmark, is undergoing restoration.
And I believe that the work we are doing here today will ensure that this building, that is the most photographed symbol of Cherokee sovereignty, of the Cherokee Nation, of the Cherokee people after the removal, will be here for our great, 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 great grandchildren, so they can stand on this very hallowed ground and see what their ancestors dreamed.
April 30th, Cherokee Principal Chief Bill John Baker commemorated a milestone in the restoration, the framing out of a cupola at the center of the Capitol's roof.
When I was a young boy growing up in Tahlequah, Oklahoma, I spent many hours on this lawn. My grandfather had a barbershop just across the street, and my grandmother would sit there and tell me stories of old. I could have told you what the cupola looked like from my grandmother's descriptions.
One of those stories involved a terrible fire in 1928 that destroyed the cupola and nearly destroyed the building. When repairs were made, there was only enough money to replace the roof, not the cupola. Baker says returning the building to its original design is an important part of its restoration.
This is a testament to the Cherokee spirit, to the tenacity, to the belief in laws and government that the Cherokees had.
Built in 1867, the Cherokee National Capitol originally housed the tribe's executive, legislative, and judicial branches.
All the major decisions for the last 150 years have been made in this building.
But the building hasn't always been under the tribe's control.
Although built for Cherokee Nation, by Cherokee Nation, majority of its life it was operated under Cherokee County.
Travis Owen with Cherokee Cultural Tourism explains.
In the late 1800s, the Curtis Act was passed, and implications of that act kind of suppressed tribal governments. And with that, not only their government operations, but also their holdings, so their buildings, their, at that time, what was their public property. And so after tribal governments were suppressed and following statehood, that stuff went to the state and later the county. And that building served as a Cherokee County court building for quite some time, and Cherokee Nation reacquired that building in the late 1970s.
Photos loaned to us by the State Historical Society, Northeastern State University, as well as those hanging in the Capitol's lobby, give a glimpse into the Capitol's history, how it looked when it was first constructed with a cupola.
The cupola not only was decorative, but served as an air ventilation structure.
Other early pictures showed horses tied up along the front fence and ceremonies commemorating monuments. This 1900s-era color postcard was distributed by the Cherokee Drug Company. This 1907 snapshot dates from just before statehood, while a photo from 1924 shows how lush foliage had grown up to surround the Capitol. These photos by the Works Progress Administration were taken shortly before the 1928 fire that destroyed the cupola. Restoration work uncovered a glimpse of the damage caused by fires. Bricks above the basement door are charred. Restoration of the Capitol began with the installation of a drainage system to dry out the basement.
The basement they thought had dirt floors because there had been leaks, and some of the old state records from the time it was a state courthouse had literally deteriorated and turned to dirt.
Cubbies in this basement room are believed to have held land records. Another room likely held precious tribal records. It sits behind a heavy and ornately decorated iron safe door. Writing indicates the door was made in Muskogee. The faded lintel reads, Clerk of the District Court. Any records once kept here are now stored elsewhere. Loose bricks found in the basement bear the imprint of history.
What we do know is that the bricks that are on site to the building today, original building, were fired on site.
Restoration is being done in stages. The basement, foundation, and exterior are first. It's a big job.
We're trying to save every bit of dental work, every bit of trim work, everything that was original, we want up there. But there are some places where water has destroyed part of that original trim, but they've got, artisans that are coming back and reproducing it just the way that it was, making it match perfectly. We're actually having custom windows made, because if you go to the old pictures, they were window panes. They weren't big pieces of glass. But after the fire, one of the fires, probably the one in 1920, they just went with the bigger panes of glass in the old frames.
Once exterior work is complete later this summer, plans will get underway to begin restoration of the Cherokee Capitol's interior.
So that when we walk away from this building and you take a photograph, if you took it from the same place 150 years ago, other than maybe the foliage, it will look the same.